We've been talking about scary things. We'll catch up with Adrian Harms, No Connection, very shortly here on BBC Surrey. We had a list, though, of the scary places in Surrey, including Polesden Lacey, near Bookham, said to be haunted by an unknown apparition whose presence predates the Edwardian mansion by centuries. Tends to appear when you've had quite a lot of cider. That's what normally happens with apparitions, don't you think?
It really does. 1 or 2 pints and there we go.
Ham House in Richmond as well. Apparently that is haunted by Elizabeth Maitland, the Duchess of Lauderdale. Her spirit is said to walk the passageways of Ham House, and the tap-tap of her cane echoing through the night.
Oh my, well I've got St Mary's Church in Reigate. Apparently people have seen a girl walking up the path there. Also some singing in the library.
It's a scary thing, isn't it? Your heart begins to race. It is the 31st of October, Halloween, the perfect day for hearing a scary story or two.
Well, let's speak to our reporter Adrian Harms, who's at a Surrey location with a bit of a ghostly past. Morning, Adrian.
Yeah, morning, Eliza. Well, there's no question about that. I'm standing outside of Tunsgate, right in the heart of Guildford, right on the high street. The scene here this morning, well, people busily making their way to work. There are vans delivering to the shops here, but a few hundred years ago, the scene would have been very different. According to a local historian, some of the town's executions were held here in the yard of what was the Three Tuns Inn, but it is now Tunsgate. One of those executed was a guy called Christopher Slaughterford. He was hung here in 1709 for the murder of his sweetheart, Jane Young. And what makes that story even more interesting is that a couple of days after he died, he was reportedly seen here again. Now, whether anybody actually saw it, well, we can't find anyone here who saw that, but what I can tell you, I can speak to Philip Hutchinson, who runs the ghost tour of Guildford. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
I'm very well. Tell us more about Christopher Slaughterford.
Slaughterford's case is somewhat tragic. Everybody these days tends to think that actually it was a miscarriage of justice, but we can't prove that. He was executed for the murder of his girlfriend, Jane Young. This happened around the area of Loseley Park. And the first time round, he was actually acquitted of the murder, but a private trial was held by the friends and family of Jane. Although they were poor, they managed to get enough money together to hold the trial on appeal. And at the second one, although the witnesses of the evidence were exactly the same as the first time round, he was found guilty and executed for it.
And was that here?
The execution was actually, the execution was held here, yes, but the trial was held at the Queen's Bench Bar in Westminster.
Right. Now, apparently he was seen 2 days later.
He was seen everywhere 2 days later.
Right.
He was seen at the Marshalsea in London, where he'd been confined, at the White Lion Tavern next door to it, at the Sandpit in Loseley Park, where Jane's body had been found. He was also seen in Shalford, at his house there. He lived at Shalford Mill. Seen at the Shambles at the bottom of the high street, and he was seen at the spot of his execution. Very busy man.
A very busy man. Now tell us about Surrey. How haunted a county is Surrey?
All counties tend to be as haunted as there are people to talk about the ghosts. In Surrey, we always had 2 authors living here who were very prolific in the 70s and 80s, Andrew Green and Peter Underwood. They both wrote a load of books, and I tend to find that if you've got people writing about them, the ghost stories tend to accumulate. I think everybody's got a ghost story. Well, maybe not everyone, but they tell the story, and if they don't tell the story, then no one's going to write about it. So these people collated them. So Surrey has a lot of ghosts, but that's purely because they've been recounted. I'm sure every county has their own huge amount of ghosts.
Now, tell us, you run the ghost tour here in Guildford, which leaves from Holy Trinity Church, just about 100 yards up the high street from where we are this morning. And I guess tonight you're running one.
Tonight's a very busy one. I do 2 big Halloween ones every year with my friends from a Pranksters Theatre Company. And unlike the other ones during the year, they dress up as some of the characters in the stories and deconstruct comedy by doing some routines. They tend to be very busy. People just turn up to them.
So you could just turn up tonight. So if you fancy a bit of spookiness in Guildford tonight, you could just turn up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to book for it. It's 8 o'clock it starts outside the church. People just turn up. You know you're in the right place because there'll be a load of people there wearing costumes.
Now tell us, you're the ghost expert. Have you ever honestly seen a ghost?
I'm a big skeptic when it comes to ghosts. People think 'cause I'm interested in them, I believe in everything. And I really don't. I've seen 2 things that I can't explain. One at Woodchester Mansion in Gloucestershire in 2002. To cut a very long story short, I saw a woman standing at a first floor window, and I went to check to see where she was. And I ran into the building, and there was no floor for her to stand on. The building was actually floorless. And I did see at the Albert pub in Westminster about 15 years ago, a glass on an empty table, just with a load of other witnesses, just whiz across the table into the middle of the room and just drop down to the floor.
So, we could get spooky goings on. So just a reminder, tonight, if you want to come to see Guildford, come have a wander around the ghost tour, what time do you leave and where from?
It's 8 o'clock, I said, Holy Trinity Church, and it goes all around the High Street, bits of North Street, and through the Castle Grounds area. It keeps it dark and scary.
Wonderful stuff. That's what we want, James and Eliza. Dark and scary in Guildford.
You do that so well. Oh,
I know.
You're about the least scary bloke there ever was in the world, Harmsy. I'm sorry. It's like you...
I'm trying it.
Yeah, no, it's like,
Adrian, your face is melting.
Oh, hang on, get this scary music. I just can't stand it. Harmsy, thank you very much in Guildford. Scary places. We've been talking about that this morning.